How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Cities Skylines 2, where today we're going to be doing something special. We are going over the American Southwest USA pack from Paradox Interactive, and they have graciously asked me to collaborate with them on this video, which I'm super appreciative. And so I have early access to all of the buildings, and we're going to be diving deep into all of the different upgrade paths, the details, and I'm pretty excited about that. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So this is all of the assets that we get from the American Southwest USA pack. This is quite a bit. So I have these broken down. We have low density residential, we have medium density residential, high density. We even have a couple row houses. The row houses really aren't represented a lot. And I actually think it's kind of interesting. So in the American Southwest, row housing is definitely not something that is super common. Unless you're in some of the older cities like San Francisco or Los Angeles. And honestly, I don't even know if I would count San Francisco as being Southwest. It'd probably just be Los Angeles or San Diego that you would see that style housing. And so anybody who doesn't know, I'm actually from Las Vegas. So this is within my region. And so I'm going to be able to kind of tie in some of my my background and some of the things that I've seen, which I'm super excited about. So I do have some low density commercial over here, and we have some office space, and then we have some signature buildings as well as some services, which I really like. This high school has a lot of really cool upgrade paths. And so let's start off with the low density residential. So for anybody who isn't familiar, the American Southwest largely expanded after the invention of the car, with the exception of San Diego or Los Angeles. Phoenix is an older style city, but most of its growth did come after the invention of the car, and Las Vegas, pretty much 100% of its growth came after the car. So most of those cities are actually suburban sprawl. Even Los Angeles, it's probably like 75 to 80% of the city is just single family homes, roads, really large neighborhoods, and a lot of parking lots. And so these homes actually do capture a lot of what the American Southwest is, though I do find it interesting. We don't have a lot of stucco style homes, which is something that is very common in the American Southwest. So like you have a lot of these side panel buildings. This is kind of common. So in Los Angeles, you would see this style. It's more of like a beach style, but you would definitely see more buildings similar to this. So this is like a Spanish style home, stucco siding, clay roofs. And a lot of it is because it blends in with the surrounding color. So you have a lot of browns. There's really not a lot of green, not a lot of color in the Southwest, unless you're on the beach. And so a lot of these homes definitely are the same style as like a single family home. This is definitely more of like an older style though, or like a newer mansion style. So like if you're in like a little McMansion neighborhood, then you could get homes like this with this little side paneling. It's definitely a little bit more modern. Though a lot of these buildings still look really cool, and I do like that we do have some of the Spanish representation in here. I definitely would have liked to seen a few more stucco style homes. So something like this with the siding, I think it would have been a little bit more representative of the Southwest, especially Las Vegas and Phoenix, where this style home is a little bit more common. Like to have shingle roofs in Las Vegas is not very common at all. It's more common to have clay style roofing. Nonetheless, this still looks really cool. And especially in, again, Los Angeles or San Diego, this is where you would see more of these style homes, or in newer style neighborhoods. So we do get quite a bit of assets in here, and you can kind of see there are definitely duplicates. I have broken everything down into size. So we have like 2x2, 2x3, 3x3, and a lot of them, it just creates a larger front yard or a bigger backyard. And so you get a lot of smaller details, like more trees, a change in a pergola here or there, which I really like a lot of the details. I think they look really cool. And these are the things that, whenever you're trying to build a certain vision, having these details can really go a long ways to help you capture that level of realism that you're looking for. But I really like these homes a lot. These are, style homes that I played a lot with in Cities Skylines 1, and so I'm really excited to have them within Cities Skylines 2. So let's go over to our small patch of row housing I previously mentioned. And, never mind the large hill. This would definitely be kind of tough to get into. You'd probably have to have some sort of 4x4 big truck, which is really common in the American Southwest. But this would also be really unsafe for like people, say you had some kids, they'd have to jump down. Maybe you'd get a ladder or something like that. But yeah, for some reason, these got lifted off the ground. I think these do look cool though. So in San Francisco or in San Diego, you definitely do have row style housing like this. Housing like this is not very common in Phoenix or Las Vegas. It is, I guess, in newer developments, they do some style of row housing where it's like small townhomes, but they would be in blocks. So you would have like two to three of them that are all one big building where they're, slightly accentuated from each other by different colors, something like that. But it's more of like a starter home for people, like a cheaper home. But we largely don't build a lot of homes like this anymore, and so it's more single family, large backyards, large front yards. And so these look really good. I'm excited about this. Let's go ahead and move on to our medium density now. And this is really where it starts to get exciting. This style of housing is actually pretty common in Las Vegas and Phoenix, more so Phoenix than Las Vegas. Las Vegas doesn't really have a lot of vertical growth unless you're downtown or on the strip. Whereas Phoenix actually does have a pretty decent amount of vertical growth, especially in the central area of the valley. But you get a lot of these square shapes. You get a lot of modern architecture. You get a lot of concrete, like in downtown Las Vegas. We actually do have some apartment that are in some condos slash apartments that are styled like this, where each one has a little patio. I like how they created the separation within one asset. So this is all one asset that has a look of three different buildings. I really like this look a lot, especially if you're going for like an American Main Street style. I like a lot of the details, and you can kind of see there is some assets that are similar. Like this just has another block, so the sidewalk's a little bit further away, where you can see like the tiles a little bit different. Some of the bushes are different. But I like that they have the garages in here as well. So this would probably be like an underground garage. This is something that you could see like on Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles or all over San Diego. You have these like kind of mid-rise apartment buildings that have underground parking garages connected to them. I like a lot of these buildings as well. These definitely look like you could probably meld them into an industrial style build. So you could probably go in, change it from residential to industrial, and then plop these down. I really like the look of these buildings, especially with the garages, and there's really a lot you can do with these. So this is an older style architecture that you could see in Los Angeles or San Diego. You really wouldn't see a lot of this architecture in a place like Las Vegas. The interesting part about Las Vegas is that it's so new that most of the city has been built within the last like 50 years. Like growing up there was really interesting. The city just evolves and changes so much at such a rapid pace. But it's still really nice buildings. I like that, even though we do have buildings that look very similar to each other, there are subtle differences to differentiate them from each other, mainly the size. So like you can see, these ones look very similar in a lot of ways, but a lot of the shapes are different. There's some really cool buildings in here. And then you do have like a more kind of Spanish style housing. And this actually looks more like a hotel. But I like how through the upgrade path, you can see how it kind of changes a little bit. And this can mimic real life as well. So say somebody built this building, and then as it started to gain more money, they decided to, upgrade it. And so they could rip out the facade, just grow it, or even just expand on top of it, get new tiles, change the color, and then re-landscape the exterior. I like that they have these pools in here too. I think that's a really cool touch. We have some pretty cool little mid-rise apartments in here. I like these. These are definitely a style that you could probably copy paste a bunch of these buildings in between parking lots, and it would look like an apartment building or an apartment complex of some kind. Because that's really common again in the Southwest, is to have large apartment complexes where it's just a bunch of parking lots surrounding smaller buildings. So like you can go into an apartment complex and it'll be like 20 buildings, and each building is a collection of maybe 10 to 20 apartments, sometimes less, sometimes more. But then you also do have like large building style apartments as well, where it's just one large building or maybe like 2 to 3 of these with parking lots surrounding them. And that's a really common feature in the American Southwest, is to have apartments like that. Where it's just a bunch of buildings surrounded around it. And so you really do have a lot of opportunity with a lot of these. So like you could take this one, copy paste like maybe 6 of them, like 3 and 3 with parking lots in the middle, and it would look very similar to a lot of apartment complexes in the American Southwest. I like the overall look of these. I like how this one has the pool on the top. I think that looks really cool. I like the details around the outside again. You can kind of appreciate the upgrade path in this, how it changes the outside. It just makes it look a little bit more fuller, like maybe the building is becoming richer. They're getting more money, so they're deciding to reinvest it into the building. You can kind of see with some of these high density ones, this one's really cool. So you got this pool on the top with kind of a more modest pergola, but then as it expands, you can see they add in like a whole interior space, another pergola, a little pool, kind of a fancier pergola. And then this one has a couple little patio spaces on the outside. I like that it has a whole deck, so maybe this could be like a viewing deck of some kind, or maybe even like a penthouse suite. But I really like this a lot. We really got a lot of options, and these are buildings that I could definitely see myself plopping down and really creating some fun spaces with. So now let's move over to our commercial spaces. And so these are all of our commercial spaces. Sadly, there are no high density ones, which again is pretty common in the Southwest to not have high density like that. It's more about sprawl and space and parking lots and stuff like that. But you do get some pretty good representation of some of these smaller style like shopping complexes. So this would be like a small shopping mall where the upstairs would probably be some sort of offices of some kind. And this is pretty common to have large lots like this. So a bunch of buildings like this would be surrounded around like maybe 400 parking spaces or 500 parking spaces, potentially even more than that. But I really like the details. I think this looks really cool. I like that this actually goes in here. I think that that looks awesome. And I like the upgrade path again for these. So this is how it starts off at the beginning. Then it kind of upgrades to this with little carport. And then it upgrades to this with the little like drive-through kind of awning section on the side. I think that looks really cool. Same as well with this like grocery style outlet. As it expands, it just gets a little bit bigger, though it does lose quite a bit of parking. And over here, they just kind of nix the parking. They're like, all right, no more parking. But you do get a little drive-through, which it kind of looks like that potentially is underground parking. That actually is. That is an awesome touch. So maybe as they expand, they just decided to do a full underground parking, maybe to expand their parking accommodations. You do also have some small strip style um, commercial buildings over here, which I really like. I think this looks awesome. Some really cool details in here. I like the colors. I like the brick facades on this. I think they look great. And then we do have some motels as well. So this is like a small little budget motel, maybe a mom and pop style. And then as they grow, they, add on a second floor, they build a larger building. And then as it grows again, it just, basically demolishes and turns into like a more chain style motel, which is really nice. You have some little roadside diners over here. I like this style. This is really cool. So this is definitely more of like a 60s style, but this is something that you would definitely see in Los Angeles. There are some older styles like this in Las Vegas, but sadly, because of the growth, they have gotten rid of a lot of those buildings. And this kind of reminds me of like a chain style restaurant. So this could be like your, Chili's, or it would actually probably be more of like a Mexican restaurant with the clay style roof and this little awning. Then you have like a little fast food restaurant-ish. So like this would be your McDonald's or your Jack in the Box. I like that it actually has a little drive-through too. I think that that looks awesome. I really like this a lot. So this is really common, especially in like big shopping centers. So you'd have like your big box stores like Home Depot, Walmart, surrounded by a large parking lot, or at least in the front, because a lot of times in the back it's just receiving. But then set up on little islands, you would have a bunch of these fast food chains or small restaurants similar to this, kind of surrounding or in the middle of the parking lot. Here's another one right here. So we have, drive-through style. So this would just be a little bit bigger. This would be like your Carl's Jr. or something like that. We do have some smaller little restaurants. I really like the looks on a lot of these. I like that they got the patio in there. I like that it has the little road going around the outside. Some of the details in this look really good. I am very pleased to see a lot of this. Here's some more drive-through restaurants. Again, in the American Southwest, it's pretty common. They're pretty much everywhere. The upgrade paths are still really cool too. So this is kind of similar to the one that we saw before. But it's just a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller in certain ways. So like you either have more parking lot or less curb. But I appreciate how we have so many unique assets. These ones definitely aren't as similar as the residential ones. I think these look really cool though. Again, having this, the bricks change over here. This is pretty common for a lot of newer shopping centers in the Southwest, actually throughout pretty much all of America. You get a lot of this brick style, kind of different colors and stuff to attract you in. Maybe this is a bank of some kind. Here's a smaller motel. I actually really like that. It has just a little dumpster in the front. So this would be like a small little budget motel. Here's some more of those little drive-throughs just without the lot. Ooh, this one actually looks pretty cool. So this one's like a version of the motel again, but It's just a different style building, smaller lot. I think these look really good. I like these a lot. Man, I like these. These are awesome. I love the patios in these. So this would be in a more up and coming place where they're actually trying to create a walkable style district. You'd have a lot of these like outdoor patios, um, pedestrianized streets to block off cars. And you are kind of seeing them a lot come up in Las Vegas and in Phoenix, where they're creating these pedestrianized areas for people to kind of walk around and just enjoy the space, which is really cool to see. They're trying to recapture kind of how cities have been for a long time. Just in these car centric cities, they kind of evolved without having spaces like that. So now moving on to our office space, you can really see, so this is definitely a style of architecture that you do see quite a bit in office spaces, especially like these brick ones too. So this is kind of an older style, but there are a lot of office buildings that look like this. So just a lot of glass around the outside, this kind of, curved architecture. Not really as much color. So like these would probably be more of like a white. Having the colors is definitely more of a modern touch, but I like that they have these patios on here as well. I think that looks really cool. And I love the upgrade of the pergola over here, the awning, a couple of little vending machines. These are got some really nice touches to them. I like that this is here. There's definitely a mesh issue in there. So we're just not going to pay attention to that. These buildings look really nice, so I like that they got the parking lots around them. This is definitely something that you would see in this style of office building, is a ton of parking around them. The buildings are typically islands surrounded by parking. They look really good though. I like that you can kind of even see in there too. You can kind of see some furniture in there that looks really cool. Yeah, that looks awesome. I love that a lot. So these ones definitely have some duplicates. You can kind of see a lot of these are very similar, and the only main difference is going to be either just the size of the lot or some of the details around the outside. But the buildings still look really cool. I like these ones a lot. I like again, these are very similar to the other ones. So this is probably what most of them would look like, is more of this white with the brick. Just a little bit cleaner. You definitely wouldn't see like a green like this as much unless the office was going for a specific look. Here's more of a smaller style office. So this would probably be like a dentist office of some kind, or like a medical, maybe even like a bank or something like that, where you'd have like a little drive through with the tubes. These are really cool though. I like these a lot. I think there's really a lot you can do with these too. I like that they got the little patios around the outside. It really provides a lot of opportunity for detailing. These small ones over here look pretty good too. So like you could do a big office park with these, where you kind of place them down and then do a bunch of parking around the outside. And so that is all of the growables. And that's quite a bit. For a free pack, you really can't beat it. I mean, this is just kind of crazy that we're getting all these. It's really nice to see. I love that they're doing it, investing in the community. And so now we move over to our signature buildings. And so the two biggest ones here, other than our office building, is these apartments. And so you have Imperial Heights apartments with parking. I really like these buildings. These would definitely be more of like a modest style accommodations, especially I really like some of the smaller touches in here, like the boarded up windows and stuff like that. So these would be more of like an income-based apartment complex. These definitely wouldn't be bougie, but I like that they still have some of these small touches out here, given it has a little bit of trash. So you would definitely see a lot of these in certain areas, like in Las Vegas. There's apartments just like this, where just a little bit cheaper. It's a little bit more accommodating for people who maybe have a ton of kids, or they're kind of struggling, or maybe they're transitionary, or maybe you're just single and you want something cheaper. But I like that they have these. I think they have some really cool details. I like that they have little trash areas out front. I like that they have these walkways, and they even have like some clotheslines and stuff. I think that looks really cool. Some little satellites on top. I like the buildings a lot. And then we do have some commercial buildings. So we have the Westwood Center. This is similar again to our commercial, where I was talking about like having those walking districts. This is something similar that you would see, like having these roofs with little patios, some awnings, some seating areas. Maybe on Friday nights, they do like a band in this area to attract customers. This is kind of cool. So art supply store. This is something that you would see like in a, arts district, which is really common in the Southwest. where you even have like a First Friday where, everybody comes out and displays all their local art. You have a bunch of murals like this on the side of buildings. I think it looks really cool. This building's really cool. I like that it has the patio in here. This would be like your local restaurant, maybe like a Chili's or some sort of chain, or even like a small mom and pop restaurant. Moving over to our bigger building. So this is the Sunshine Hotel Commercial High. So this is the only commercial high part of the American Southwest Pack. And this actually looks really cool. So I like the pools around the outside. I like that it has these little patios. This is definitely more of like an Art Deco kind of postmodern style housing. But it looks really good. This is definitely something you could see in like older Los Angeles, especially with some of the colors. They still have a lot of those style buildings, like the taller ones. So now we move over to our office building, which is the only one a part of the American Southwest. This building is definitely reminiscent of some of the buildings in downtown Phoenix or along Center Road. Just a lot of square, a lot of brown. I think it looks really good. I do like that they definitely captured a lot of the vibe, especially this little glass awning along the outside. There's buildings in downtown Phoenix that look identical to this, especially with the little awning. They're nice to have. They're definitely cool. It's not the same as being in like downtown Chicago or Los Angeles, but it does have its own appeal. So now moving over to our service buildings, my favorite of them all is actually this high school. I really like this. So one of the cool things or one of the unique features, I guess, of the American Southwest is massive high schools like this, really large spaces. And a lot of it is just indicative of having a lot of space. And so the high school I went to was huge. It's even bigger than this. Like we even had a little like wash where we had a bridge going across, and we had a soccer field, multiple basketball fields. We had a football field with a track around it. I mean, it was really big. But I like that this is the based asset as it comes. It has this little seating area in the back, so maybe for lunch and stuff like that, they're back there. I like the architecture in the front as well. This would definitely be more of a modern high school. But then I like that they have all these over here. So this is where if you had physical education, you'd come out here and play some basketball, or there'd probably even be some tennis courts as well. So this does have some really cool upgraded features, which I have left for us to kind of look at. So the big one is the gymnasium, which I did have to kind of mess around with anarchy on this one. So we are going to have to turn it back on. So the first upgrade is the gymnasium. I think that this is just an amazing pack. I think the only thing that isn't quite as realistic for this is normally your gymnasium. So I really like this building a lot. I think this looks awesome. I like that it has the skylights as well. And this is actually pretty common to what a gymnasium would look like coming up to a high school in the American Southwest. You would just have this really large building with mine had a domed roof. Mine didn't have skylights, but it was kind of on the campus a little bit. So then the next one is the small classroom building. And I like that they have this add-on. So one of the things that is kind of common in the Southwest is for, especially in Las Vegas, schools to just add on little extra classrooms on the side. And it's just because the cities grow at such a rapid pace that building a new high school just isn't as easy as adding in some more classrooms. So then we go on to large classroom building. So this is another good one. We're actually going to put this one across the street. So we're going to go like right there. Let's go ahead and check that out. So I like that they added this in. You could definitely do some larger high school complexes now with this. Like this is a really cool building. I like that it has the walkthrough in the middle. It's basically two of our little side ones here just connected in the middle. I think it looks really cool, though, and it really provides a lot of opportunity for detailing. And so the last one is going to be the library. And so the library actually adds a whole new building to the complex, as well as some more walking paths. So we could create some pathways in the back. I like this a lot. I don't really know if the library would be this large, but I do like the overall aesthetic appeal, especially with the campus as it's done. And with these external buildings now, you can really create some large campuses, like maybe put a football field over here with a little track. So maybe you have your practice track. You could also do a soccer field, and you could really, create a lot of fun stuff. You could extend these textures, do some pathways in here, and really do a lot. I like that it has a little fence around the outside too. I think that is cool. And so now moving on to our elementary school. The elementary school is definitely a lot smaller, but it does follow in a pattern similar to what you would see We're definitely getting some people standing around in the back, so they're studying. Yeah, so it looks like they're studying. If I was a teacher, though, I'd definitely go back there and see, what they're studying. So having this little turnaround in the front is definitely something you do see in elementary schools, pretty much all throughout America, but more so in the Southwest. This would be where like parents would come and park on the street and then pick up their kid from school with a car. This does have a couple upgrades as well. So we have the art and music building, which extends over a whole building in the back. I think that is a really nice touch. I like that it has the pergolas and stuff around the outside too. I think it's kind of interesting. This doesn't have a fence around the outside or like any sort of field of some kind. But maybe they just didn't have a lot of space. So this would be more of like an inner city elementary school of some kind, because you would definitely have like a field. Like physical education is seen as a high priority for Americans, and so additional classrooms. So you're able to get rid of the parking lot and put in a whole little other building. And I like the look of this too. I like the colors in there. I think it looks really good. So they actually do add a little playground. So this would probably be just like a kindergarten playground. I don't think that would be for any of the older kids. Elementaries in America tend to be like K through 5. A lot of times they are split though. So like the elementary schools I went to were sister schools. So I went to a school from like K through 2, and then I went through one that was 3 through 5. And like the kindergarten section would just be like a little outdoor area like that. And then you have an annex building. So we have a whole nother building that can actually be separated. So you could create your own little campus area with like a little track and field, a little fence around the outside to make it, I think, it a little bit more realistic. But I think this looks really good. I'm definitely pleased with this asset. All right, so moving on to our police department and our fire departments. So we actually have a headquarters for both and also substations. So starting with our fire department, we have our U.S. Southwest Firehouse. And I really like this asset a lot. Honestly, this is one that you could definitely see in like a suburbanized neighborhood in the American Southwest. I think it's a really nice building. I like that it has some good details around it, a little parking lot in the front, little firehouse sign, and it also does have an upgrade. So the fire engine maintenance bay. So we can add that on, adds this little addition on the side as well as a larger roof. Maybe this would be like where a bunkhouse is or something like that. Moving on to the headquarters, I think this building looks absolutely fantastic. I like that it has all the bays in the front. It has some bays in the back as well, so you could do like a road around the outside, make this look really cool. This also has some upgrades as well. So this has the trading tower. So this would be where they simulate fires. They put up some ladders and stuff in the back. And this is actually something that you do see in fire headquarters. You see a lot of training centers like that. There's the disaster aid office, which is a separate building. So we're going to go ahead and add that over here. This would definitely be a building you can kind of see with the parking lot that you'd probably want to get across the street on a road, or maybe even like to somewhere better than this. Like I think having the parking lot all the way in the back over there is a little bit weird. But then we also have the firefighter helipad, which I actually think this is a pretty cool addition over here. We can't click it because we are too close to the police headquarters over here, but we can go ahead and look at it anyways. So it adds in this ground level helipad and it moves some of the bushes around and everything. I really like that addition, especially since a lot of the helipads do end up on the roofs. I think that this is a really cool spot for that. And so moving on to the police stations, we are going to start off with the substations. We have the U.S. Southwest Police Station. This is a really cool asset. I like that it has a little patio up here. It has some parking lots with all the police cars. I think it's some really good details. You got the dumpster in the back. Oh, some more police car parking in the back. And this also does have a couple upgrades. So you have the police car motor pool. Oh, so it adds a whole nother section over here, which gives you an upgrade of 8 more patrol cars, which is awesome. And then you have the expanded holding cells. Oh, let's look at that. So I actually haven't looked at this one yet. So that one actually gets rid of the parking in the back. I wonder if it expands. So it doesn't expand any of the parking on the sides, but it does give us like a little yard over here for, I guess, the people who are being held in jail. I think that's a pretty cool little addition, some nice aesthetics, and it expands the jail capacity to 25, which I think could be beneficial, especially if you're dealing with a lot of crime in your city. So now we do have the medical. We have this huge, majestic hospital, but we also have this medical clinic. which I really like this one as well. I like the parking lots surrounded with the curbs, these little bushes in the front, a couple little ambulance spaces. This is a nice little clinic, and it does have an upgrade as well. So the extension wing, which adds 30 patient capacity. Oh, and it actually adds on a whole nother little side building over here. So there's definitely a lot of detailing opportunities here. You could do some pathways, maybe do some shrubs around the outside of this building just to make it look a little bit nicer. Though I think it does look really nice on its own. And then last but not least, we have the General Hospital. And this actually reminds me of there's a psychiatric hospital in Los Angeles that this kind of reminds me of a little bit. It's a really big building, really huge hospital, but this would be, I mean, a lot of hospitals are really big, and I like that they added in all this parking as well, because a lot of times hospitals are flanked by a ton of parking. There's a lot of really cool details. I like that they have the fences going around, again, the parking with the little arm over here, so like a lot of times around hospitals, it is parking that is kind of regulated a little bit, like maybe it's just for employees or people who have patients staying within the hospital. So we do have a couple upgrades. We have the Ambulance Bay West. So let's back out. Let's see where this is going. Okay, so Ambulance Bay West adds on. Ooh, so it actually fills this whole section over here with ambulances. So now there's like little bays for, I'm guessing this would be receiving, but also ambulance maintenance, I'm guessing, or it could also be emergency. But then you also do have the same upgrade on the other side, and I like that it adds in the helipads too. Is there a helipad on this side too? Man, so this has 2 helipads. That's actually really interesting, and I like that they allowed the conflict between these two so that you can kind of get them in there. I think this is a really nice touch. So now this would be probably the most high-functioning hospital within the game in terms of overall functionality. Let's see how many rooms does it have? Oh, so 1,000 patients. That's actually a lot. That is a huge amount. This looks really cool. I like this a lot. I think that this asset looks fantastic. I really like the overall appeal of this. I like a lot of these buildings. I think that they did a great job on this pack. I really like the high school. I like the elementary school. I like these little apartment complexes too, because it's kind of going to allow us to build like maybe a lower income area now. I think that they did a great job, and honestly, for a free pack, you really can't beat this. I love that they're doing this whole cities around the world thing. They're just building up the value. Every time we get a new pack, we're just creating more value for this game and making it a little bit more appealing, more fun to play, and you're giving yourself some more options whenever you're doing some detailing. And so now that we are done, I did want to zoom out, kind of show you guys, here in Tampere. We haven't been in the city in quite a while, but I am going to be diving back in and doing some episodes, and so I'm super excited about it. If you followed all the way through, I super appreciate it. Go ahead and give me a like button just for the engagement. Hit that subscribe so you don't miss any videos, and I will see you on the next one.